see. It's been nearly 3 years since I speedran this weird little game called Family Guide to
The
Video
impact of occult and
Back then were
esoteric
simpler
ideas on
times.
the arts in the mid-19th
The world record
century
before I began running this game
culminated in
was
a
2
new
hours,
artistic
6 minutes, and
movement,
18 seconds by
symbolism,
Coconut Drake.
which reached its peak.
After
Okay,
studying this run
Julie,
and
are
doing
you
my
all
own
ready to
research
learn
for
how to
the
make a
game,
pizza
I managed to
the
drop
right
this
way?
time down by
Making
nearly
it
6
great.
minutes
Yes, I'm ready.
to 1
Are we
hour,
gonna cook
46
pizzas
minutes,
now?
and 49
Well,
seconds
there's a lot more
by
to it than
optimizing
just
the
cooking.
routes
In
and
fact,
eliminating
that's
mistakes.
probably the easiest part.
After
But
achieving
let's
this
start
time,
this
I knew that the
process
sub
at the
143
beginning. First of
or even the
all,
sub
are your hands
140
washed?
might be
Sure.
possible.
Good,
But I was
mine
already
too.
getting tired of running
All
this
right,
game.
let's
I
say
did
an order
everything
for
that
a
I
pizza
set out
comes
to do,
in.
so I
You'll
posted
read
my
it
typical
and you'll get
speedrun
started on the
video,
pizza making
and that
process
was that.
right away.
Modernism.
You
A few
have to
weeks after
act
posting this
fast.
video,
Just
I received
think,
an
the sooner you
interesting
get that
comment
pizza in
in
the
the
oven,
Megaton,
the sooner our
claimed to have
customers
logged
will
the
be
game in the
biting
past
into it
and
and
had
tasting
found
how
several
delicious
out-of-bounds
it
And
is.
they'll
Window
have
to the
me to
world.
thank.
At the
That's
time,
right.
out-of-bounds glitches in
Because
this
we're
game
not
were
just
extremely
making
uncommon.
pizza.
There was
We're
only one pizza in my
creating an
run,
experience
so the claim
for
that there
our
were several out there
customers.
that I
Think
didn't
of
know
it
about
as making
seemed
a pizza
unlikely.
that makes customers
I mean, I
happy.
looked all over
that.
YouTube and video
Our
sharing sites
customers
for
expect
glitches
the same
and talked with the
high-quality
albeit
product and
extremely
service every
small
time they
speedrun
come to a
community
Pizza
and
Hut.
came out
And
empty-handed.
that's true
However,
whether it's a
But
busy
hey,
Friday
this type of
evening
stuff
or a
happens
quiet
all the
Tuesday
time.
afternoon.
People come to my
Our
comment
job is to
section
make
claiming
sure
they
they're
can beat my
never
speedrun
disappointed.
and know
I
about
won't let
every
them down.
secret glitch in existence.
Okay,
Yeah,
let's
yeah,
say
yeah.
the first order we get is for a medium
This isn't
pan
even me
pizza
saying my
with
speedruns are
pepperoni and
all
green
that
pepper.
amazing that they
This
can't be
is the
beat.
it's
But
where we keep
you
the
sort of have
proof
to
dough
walk
until we're
the
ready to
walk
use
before
it.
you
The
talk.
art historians
So we
But I
take out
decided
a
to
medium
entertain this
pan.
notion that this game was actually
narratives
super glitchy,
Prepared by
and that
our
there were
dough
several
master.
out-of-bounds
This movement
glitches just
reflected
waiting to
one
be
of
used
the
in
most
front.
And
So I
to
linked
check
my
it for
Family Guide
quality.
Discord.
shifts within West
Now,
Little
this
did
one
I
looks
know that by
good.
inviting Megaton into
See,
his
if
Discord
the dough
would
weren't
begin a
right,
brand new
if
era
it was
in
stuck to the
Family Guide
separator,
speedrun.
or it was too
As I
flat, or it
speedrun
had air
over
bubbles in
75
it,
new skips
then
and
the
strategies
finished
were
pizza
discovered
wouldn't be
and
right.
implemented into
And
the
our
route.
customers
And other
wouldn't get the
speedrunners
best
who were inspired to
possible
speedrun the
product.
game after watching my run
They
were
deserve
getting
every time
exceptionally
they
good at
visit
running this
Pizza Hut.
game.
Why did this
Right.
happen?
At first, the world record
Well,
was being
there are
traded
several
rapidly back and
reasons,
forth
but
by
So, if the
Cerberus
dough
and
isn't
Lowe.
exactly right, we
Cerberus'
throw it
final
out and we
leaderboard
get
time
another
was
one
at
that is.
128.37
Now,
before
pan
moving on to
pizza
other
is easy to
projects,
top.
which is nearly
First, we
20
start with
minutes
the
faster
sauce,
than my time.
and you get the right amount
However,
of
Chloe
spec
decided
chart.
to keep running
We
the
go to
game.
this
And
chart
she
that
managed to
says
get her time
bottom
down to
sauce and
115.6.
We go down to
An
where it says
unbelievable
sauce, and we see that a
31
small
minutes
gets
faster than
one
my
level
time.
spoon,
What did this
But
a
mean?
medium
no,
gets two
The unity
spoons,
wasn't
and a large
found
gets
here,
three
at least
spoons.
Not
in the
even
West,
So,
began to
what do we do?
transform
Toxic Pinhead,
into a
Teaspoons?
top runner of
Right.
several other licensed games.
Now we keep our
video
sauce right
games,
here with our other
Futurama,
refrigerated items.
Fairly Odd Parents,
We keep this
and
lid
many others
closed,
started
except
running
for
and
when we're
writing
making a
games
pizza.
and took it to a level I
First,
didn't even think was possible.
Spread the sauce
By the
to
time the
within
dust
a
settled,
quarter
the final
to a
time
half
Toxic
inch of the
Power
edge.
Leaderboard Twitch was a 108.
The
Now for a
initiated
medium pan
artistic
nearly
pizza,
40
2 spoons
minutes
equals
faster
5
than I was
ounces.
freedom they had
Be
the
making
second
it
half of the
great.
19th century.
Now, on our pizzas we use
Art
2 layers of
historians
cheese.
consider
The
the
bottom
ideological
cheese
origins
and the
of
top
movement
cheese, right?
to lie in
Right.
Les Fleurs de
Since
Mal,
we measure the
most
cheese, we'll
famous
just
work of
calibrate the
Charles
scale with
Baudelaire.
this bowl on it.
Another
Just put a
initiate,
clean bowl on the
Edgar Allan
scale,
Poe, also
zero it
played a
out, and then you're
decisive
ready to
role in
go.
the movement,
That
providing
way
many
we
of
can
the
leave the
images
bowl on the
and
scale
literary
and only
figures
measure what's
that
in
would
it.
be
That makes
utilised.
sense.
Now,
The origins of
we'll
symbolism
put some cheese
are
in the
often
bowl,
explained
and we'll
as an
measure it out to the
artistic
proper
reaction
weight
against
according to the spec
naturalism
chart.
and realism,
Let's see. Bottom
anti-idealist
cheese,
movements
medium
that
pizza.
exalted
Good.
everyday life
Now
and
we'll
placed
measure
it
out the
above
exact
idealism.
amount, and
Art
then place the
historians
cheese on
also
top of the
frequently
sauce.
discuss another
Again,
conflict
starting at the
that
outside
between
and working toward the
symbolism and
center.
science.
That doesn't look too
The
hard.
symbolist poet
It's not.
Albert Orion
Just remember to
declared
spread
that
the cheese
mysticism
evenly
alone
and try
had the
not to go
potential
beyond
to
the
save
sauce,
modern
because that would
society
burn and
from
look bad.
brutality.
We wouldn't want
However,
that.
Now,
opposition to
this order
science
is for
in
a
general
medium
was
pan
more
pizza with
rhetorical than
pepperoni
literal.
and green pepper.
The
So what do we
positivism
put
of
on
science
first?
served as
I
a
don't know.
useful opponent
Oh,
in
I
the
look on the spec chart,
self-reflection
right?
of symbolist
Let's see.
artists, a
Medium
necessary
pizza,
mirror.
pepperoni.
But in truth,
2 columns,
many
single and
scientific
multiple. Which
ideas
do I look
were
under?
integrated
Well,
into
the
their
single
art.
column is for single
According
topping
to
pizzas
Aurier,
like a
mathematics
medium
was the
pepperoni
only
pizza.
true,
And the
exact,
multiple
rational
column is for
science,
pizzas with
and there
multiple
was none of
ingredients,
that
like the one
elsewhere.
we're making.
He argued that
let's see.
mathematics was closely linked
Here
to
it is.
mysticism.
I'll
while
let you
modern
do this
natural
part. What does that
sciences
mean?
were
Here, I'll show
inaccurate
you.
and incapable
1,
of producing precise
2,
solutions.
3.
Aurier further
4.
claimed that, due to this incapacity,
Notice how I
natural
started
sciences
at the outside
inevitably
and
led
worked
to
my way towards
skepticism
the center,
and fear
placing the
of thought
pepperoni
itself.
evenly.
Got it. Green pepper's next?
Yes? Did you look at the spec chart?
Uh-huh. Do I measure into here?
Yes.
Although this was a multidisciplinary movement, including literature, sculpture, music, and other artistic fields, it is the visual arts that we will
Now what?
focus
Good.
on.
Now,
In this
place the
domain,
green
the
pepper
turn
on the
towards
pizza,
the
starting
occult
at the
was also
outside and working your way
reflected in a
towards the
growing
center.
questioning
Just
of
like I did with the
established
sauce and the
pictorial
cheese and the
norms,
pepperoni.
primarily through the introduction
Place
of a
them as
new
evenly
kind
as you
of
can.
visual ambiguity. Although the Symbolist art school expanded rapidly across Europe, with great exponents in various countries,
That's good.
it originated
We're always
in
careful to
France.
avoid center loading the
Coincidentally,
topping
or
because
for
it
those
could
who
cause the
believe in
pizza to be
coincidence,
undercooked in the middle.
France at that
I wouldn't
time
want that if
was
it
a
was my
hub for
pizza.
several
What's
esoteric
next?
movements.
Well, there are
gaining
2 more
popularity.
ingredients.
Spiritualism, philosophy,
The top cheese,
modern Rosicrucianism,
and the world-famous
Martinism,
fairy
ritual
dust.
magic,
Whoa,
and various
fairy
phenomena
dust.
that
That's
began
right.
to be labeled
Pizza
as
Hut fairy dust.
parapsychology
It's just
were
a
among
little
the
magic
themes that
ingredient that we
ignited both
have for
debate
making it
and
great.
creativity in
Okay,
many
You'll
artists.
see. All right, for the
These
top
new
cheese, how much do we
ideologies were
need?
disseminated
Let's see.
through lectures,
Here it
public
is.
conferences,
Can I do it?
and
Sure.
numerous articles in newspapers and magazines. Initiated artists saw themselves as visionaries of a new era, where art would play an essential role in society, the creation
Okay.
of a universal brotherhood,
I spread the
and a new
cheese
cultural
over the top
paradigm
of
that was
everything
taking
else,
shape.
but not
The term
on
symbolist
the
was
edge of the
first
pizza.
coined by the
Right.
critic Jean Moraes, who, in a manifesto published in 1886,
How's that?
defined
That's
symbolism
good.
as an
Now we'll
enemy
just make
of
sure it's
teaching,
perfect.
declamation,
And now
full
it's time
sensitivity,
for the fairy
and
dust.
objective
This
description.
amazing substance
In essence,
is fairy dust.
symbolist artists
And it
believed
magically
that the goal of
transforms our
art
ingredients
should be
into
to
the
develop
perfect
the
Pizza
most
Hut pizza.
transcendental
Come on.
truths, which could only be obtained
Actually,
through
it's a
ambiguous
careful blend
and
of cheese and
unorthodox
spice.
methods.
But it really does give our
Moraes'
pizzas that extra
symbolist
delicious
manifesto
touch.
also
And we're very
stated,
careful about the
"In our
number of
art,
shakes we
scenes
use.
of nature,
You can check the
human
spec chart for the right
actions,
amount.
and the rest of
You really
existing
do call it
phenomena
fairy dust.
will not be named
That's
to
right.
express themselves.
And now,
Instead, they will
you
serve
see
as
what a
sensitive
delicious
platforms
and
meant to
perfect
show
Pizza
their
Hut pan
esoteric
pizza
affinities
looks like
with
before it
primordial
goes into the
ideas.
oven. Now we just
In the
put it here on the
1915
conveyor.
book, Small Religions of Paris,
Notice how the
renowned
pizza
French
starts
occultist
completely
Jules
outside of the
Bois
oven.
painted a
It'll be done
vibrant
in just a
picture
few
of
minutes.
various cults
These
and
ovens are
movements
calibrated to
from the late
perfectly cook a
19th
pizza
and
as
early
it travels
20th
through the
centuries.
oven.
From the
Now, while we're
so-called
waiting for that
last
to cook,
pagans,
why don't we
the
talk about some of the other
Swedenborgians,
products you'll be making?
Theosophists,
Great.
Kabbalists,
First of all, there's
Gnostics,
thin and
others.
crispy pizza.
Bois highlighted
Thin and
how
crispy
all these
pizza is
currents
the
provided
original Pizza
numerous
Hut
ideas
pizza.
to the
Of
artistic
course, it's
world.
been fine-tuned over the years,
When
all
these
part
two
of making
worlds,
it great.
esotericism
Now, as far as
and
making the
art
pizza
merged,
goes, the main
art
difference
emerged as a
between
new
thin and
religion,
crispy pizza and
artist as
pan
its
pizza
populace.
is the dough
While
preparation.
it is difficult to
Pan
formulate
pizza
a
dough is
definition
portioned
that
in pans and
encompasses the
kept under
entirety of the
refrigeration.
symbolist
But thin and
thesis,
crispy
this
pizza crusts are
diversity
made
should
to
not
order.
overshadow the commonalities
Now,
among the
pan
various
pizza
artists
proofs individually in
and
the
the theoretical
pans,
dimensions
but thin and crispy
associated with
pizza dough
symbolism.
rises
Now,
in this
you may
container.
wonder, were
Whenever
there
you
real
get an order
connections
for thin
between
and
the
crispy
artists
pizza,
of
you
this
have to
movement
prepare the
and
crust.
occult orders
The only
or
exception
secret
is during
societies?
rush times, we might prep
Absolutely.
a few thin and
In
crispy pizza shells in
1888,
advance
two
so that we
renowned
can get them in the oven
occultists,
quickly.
the Marquis
Because our
Stanislas de
customers
Guaita
count on us to
and
make it
Joseph von
fast.
Péladan
Right, and
founded
I'll
the
show you how.
Kabbalistic order of
Now,
the
do you remember the
Rosicrucians.
safety procedures you learned
Occultism
about the dough
experts
roller?
assert
I
that
sure do.
Pappus, an
Good,
associate
because
of
we're
the
going to be
founders
putting them
and
into
a member of
practice
the
right now.
organization,
First of all,
composed
you
the
have to check
rituals
the
and
calibration
structure
of the
this
dough
order,
roller to make
which
sure
were
that it
practically
delivers the proper
identical to
dough
his
weight.
Martinist order,
So you
the
estimate
Order
about
of
3 ounces
Unknown
more than the
Superior.
finished dough.
The issue
It's right
arose
here on
when
the dough
Péladan,
weight chart.
under the pretext
So
of
you pull
rejecting
out a chunk that
operative
you
magic,
estimate is
left the
3
group
ounces
in
more than the weight on the
1891
spec chart.
to establish
You'll
his
get
own
used to making these
organization,
estimates,
the
but for now we'll weigh the
Rosicrucian
dough
Order
out.
of the Temple
You
and
form the
Grail.
dough into a flat
The following
circular
year,
patty by
this
turning
lodge
the dough
organized
around
a
in your
series of
hands and
events
folding
that
the outside
lasted
edge
from
under.
1892 to 1897,
Then you flatten the patty
and
to
were
about an
called the
inch high
Salon
by
de
pressing
la
down
Rose
on top of
Croix.
it.
Can you guess what these events
Fingers away from the
exclusive
chute
galleries,
and catch it
showcasing
as it
only
comes out.
symbolist style
Then you turn
or
it
related
sideways and put it
artworks?
into the lower roller.
Péladan,
Make sure that
the
it goes
poet
into there
Saint-Paul
evenly.
Roux,
Got it.
and the Count of
All right, as it
Rochefoucauld
comes out, you catch
published
it on the back of your
so-called
hands,
Rosicrucian
being careful not to
Commandments
pull it
on
or stretch
Aesthetics,
it. That
which
would cause
included the
thin
following
spots or
declaration:
tearing, and we'd have to
all
start all
ordinary
over.
representations
Then you
of
place the
contemporary
dough
life
evenly
are
in the
forbidden,
pan and
as
press
are all
it into
domestic
place,
animals,
making
or
sure
those
that there are
used
no
for
air
sport,
bubbles.
flowers, still lifes,
Next, you trim
fruits,
off the excess
tools,
dough with
and
the dough
other
trimmer.
themes that painters
We keep the
insolently
scraps
expose.
separate from the rest of the dough
Instead,
so it
to
can
favor the
rejuvenate.
Christian ideal
We
and
can use the
mysticism,
excess dough to
the
make more
order will
pizzas
only
after it's
accept
been in the
works
separate
founded on
bucket for
legend,
2 hours.
myth, allegory,
Now we'd
and
weigh the
dreams.
first shell to make sure the dough
The
roller
Salon
was
de la
set
Rose
right.
Croix was
You
the
see, if it
first
was set
attempt
too
at a
thick or
modern
too thin, the
international
weight would
religion
be
of
off.
art, an
And that's why we
aesthetic
make
order
a
with
test
Péladan
shell.
as its
We can
high
adjust the
priest.
dough roller so that the next next one is right on
Peladon was
target.
born in Lyon in 1858 into a family
Okay.
with rather peculiar tendencies. His father,
Pre-pan,
Louis, was
thin
a
and crispy
conservative
pizza dough
Catholic
should look
writer
just like
who tried
this.
to establish a
It should
sect
reach all the
called
way to the
Cult of
edge,
the Wound
no
on the
air
left
bubbles,
shoulder
no
of our
holes,
Savior
and no
Jesus
cracks.
Christ.
If it doesn't look just right, we
Peladon's
have to
older
throw it away
brother,
and start
Adrian,
over.
Check.
authored a
But
medical
this one looks
text
just right.
proposing that
You
the
ready to
brain
give it a
was
try?
sustained by
Sure.
unused sperm,
Now, if
which
we
took
were
the form of a
pre-rolling thin and
liquid.
crispy pizza
When
crust
Adrian
for a rush.
prematurely
That's a
died
busy
of
time, like
accidental
dinner.
strychnine poisoning,
Then we would put a separator
Peladon
in between each
perpetuated
one,
his
and we would
ideas,
mark the separator
suggesting
with the
that
time that we did
intellectual
it.
growth could only
Pre-rolled
thrive
thin
through
and
the
crispy
suppression
pizza
of
crusts are
sexual
only good for
impulses.
30 minutes, because after
Moreover,
that they
the
start to
Peladon
dry out.
family's
So
political
we throw
opinions
away
were
any
entirely
pre-panned dough that we don't
reactionary.
use right away.
They
really
despised
throw it
democracy
away?
and
You bet.
advocated for the
If it's over 30
restoration of the
minutes
monarchy.
old. Also, we
Peladon
used the first
differed
ones
from
we
many
made
other
before the
occultists
last
in
ones.
insisting
We
that
call
his
this our first in,
Rosicrucian
first out
rhetoric was an
procedure.
extension
That way
of
the
a
customers never get
hypothetical
anything
true
less than the
Catholic
best.
doctrine, which,
But
according
say
to
we
him,
were going to use
modern
this
church
dough right away.
institutions
Then
had
we would
degenerated.
perforate it.
Perforated?
In the art world,
Right.
Peladon
With this
first made a
perforator.
name for himself
We only
as a critic,
perforate the bottom of the
especially
dough, not the
denouncing
sides.
naturalism and
So you make
impressionism,
one firm
which he deemed
pass
banal.
over the surface
Some
of the
his
dough,
favorite works included
and then
those
one
by
right
Puvis
up the
de
middle.
Chavannes,
That
Gustave
prevents
Moreau,
bubbles, and then you're
the
done.
diabolical
And how do we do
caricatures of
toppings for thin and
Felicien
crispy
Rops,
pizza?
which I won't
Exactly
be
the
able
same
to
way you
display
did
in
for a
this
pan
video
pizza.
to avoid
There's
issues
no
with
difference in
YouTube.
toppings for a
However,
pan
I will
pizza and a
include
thin
them in
and
the
crispy
description
pizza,
on our
except
website.
that you go right to the edge with
Peladon's
your sauce and
oscillations
cheese and
between
topping.
piety
We don't
and
leave a half-inch
depravity
border.
were very
Like we did
common,
when we topped the
and
pan pizza.
indeed,
Right.
characteristic
Which,
of
by the way, is out of the
environment in
oven.
which he moved.
Come on, I'll show you how to take it out
Peladon
and serve
believed
it.
in the alchemical power
We always
of
use
the
a pan
artist,
gripper,
the divine nature
and we always
of
wait till the
creation,
pizza is
and the
completely
oracular
out of the
ability
oven
of
before we
genius.
remove it.
The question
You see, we
that
wouldn't
would
want
have
the
been
pizza to be
interesting to ask
undercooked.
him is, did he
Anyway,
truly mean what
when
he
any
said,
pizza is
or was he a
completely out of the
lunatic
oven
or a
to the
charlatan?
last inch,
Of
we
course,
check it for
such
quality.
a question presupposes
It has
a
to
clear
look
line
great, or it
between
doesn't
what
go
is
to the
real
customer.
and
This
what is
one looks
false.
great to
And
me.
in matters of the spirit,
does.
that line
It's
is not
completely
easily
cooked.
defined.
All pan pizzas should be golden brown, and the
Obviously,
cheese should
the
be
term
thoroughly
symbolism
melted.
is derived
See?
from the word
Just like on the
symbol.
cooking chart.
But do you truly
If
know
it doesn't
what
look
means?
great, we start
This
over.
word originates
All
from
our
the Latin
pizzas stage
symbolum,
or set for
meaning
30
symbol
seconds
of
before
faith,
cutting.
and symbolus, meaning sign of recognition.
We'll use
Both
this
in
cutting
turn
board.
stem from the classical Greek symbolum, which was an object used in mystical cults, a ceramic
And
token that was broken
this
in
rocker
half
knife.
and served
Be
as a
sure to
tool
hold it
of
like this and
recognition
cut all the way
when
through the
holders
crust.
reunited the two
This is
halves.
a medium
The
pizza,
use of
so
the
it gets
symbolum
cut into
was
8
so
slices.
effective that it
A
began
small
to be
gets cut into
employed by
6 and a
emissaries
large gets cut into
initiated
12.
in allied
Now,
city-states.
if it's a carryout, you
As
have
we
to use one of
interpret
those
them
boxes.
today, ideograms,
Make sure to use a box
symbols were
support
the
and an
method of
insert.
human
If the
communication
pizza is going to be
before
served here,
writing.
you'll put it back
A
in the
complex
pan and
system
place the
that
pan
often
and a
held
spatula
multiple
on a
levels
cork
of
pad in
meaning.
the pickup area.
Symbols were
The server will
initial
do the rest.
foundation of
No,
all
the
human
customer will do the
understanding
rest
and
when they
served
bite
as the
into my
first
delicious
conceptual
pizza.
vehicles for knowledge. This was true
Delicious
for tens
pan
of
pizza
thousands of years.
and delicious thin
That
and
is why
crispy
symbols
pizza.
not only have a
What
powerful
more could a
visual
customer
impact
want?
on us,
Personal
but
pan
also
pizza.
directly access our
What?
subconscious
That's another important
without being
product you'll need to know
filtered
about.
by
Oh,
our
yeah, I
intellect.
forgot. Personal
On
pan
this
pizza
topic,
is a smaller
linguist
version
and
of our
art
popular
historian
pan pizza,
Heinrich
like the
Zimmer,
one we just
in
made.
his book,
It's a
Signs and
lunchtime
Symbols,
favorite because it gives our
explains that
customers that
concepts
big
and words
pizza
are
flavor
symbols,
in a lighter
as are
lunchtime
visions,
size.
rituals,
And it's
images.
also ready
Through
fast,
every
which is
symbol,
very
a
important to our
transcendent
lunchtime
reality is
customers.
reflected.
I've had that before. I
A
bet you make a
symbol
whole
is a
bunch of those
visual
every day.
image that
We do.
represents an
And that's
idea.
why, depending
It
on
is
our
the
prep list,
deepest
we're going to be
indicator of
pre-topping
the
some of them for the
universal
lunch
truth.
rush.
That's
And
a
as
good
this
idea.
linguist points
Do we
out,
make them the
this
same
is
way as
why
we
we
make the
still
larger
use
pan
symbols.
pizzas?
Every
Almost,
major
but
religion
there
is
are a few
represented
important
by one.
differences.
As a political
First of all,
party
we
and
stamp
the world's
personal pan
largest
pizza
companies,
doughs after they've been
the
proofed
power
to
of
give them the
symbols
right
is
shape and
immense,
get them ready
far
for topping.
beyond what the average
Also,
person
because the
imagines.
topping amounts are
It
much
is a form
smaller,
of
we use
language
scoops
that
to
we
measure them.
understand without
Otherwise, it's
consciously
pretty much the
realizing that
same.
we do.
But we'll be
For
going
this
over
reason,
personal pan
artists
pizzas
of
in
the
more detail
symbolist
later.
movement
Sounds
skillfully
good.
harness
There
this
sure is a lot
knowledge
to know about
express
making
their
it
beliefs
great.
and
I'll show you what
philosophies.
you need to know to be a professional.
Interestingly,
For now,
symbolism
just
did
keep in
not
mind that
develop
it's your
through a
job to
single,
make sure our
unified
customers get the
style.
best
This
quality
makes it
pizza we can
difficult
give
to
them
define
every
in
time
rigid
they're here,
terms.
with
It
no
can be better
shortcuts
understood
and no
as a blend of
compromises.
individual artistic styles linked
And
more by
everything you need to
concept
know will
than
be
by
waiting
aesthetic
right
line.
here to guide you.
Symbolist
Just remember to
artists
follow
sought
the
to
instructions
redefine
exactly and you'll be
art
just
and restore
fine.
the
And so
spirit
will the
they
pizzas,
believed
right?
had been
Right.
lost with impressionism
Now,
and
are you ready to
naturalism.
try your your
They
hand at
therefore
topping a
gravitated
thin and
towards
crispy pizza?
spirituality,
Hey, I'm not just making
esoteric and
pizza,
mystical
I'm making it
positions.
great.
Their themes often included
Now,
angels.
let's go
or
over
more
the special
accurately,
topping
the entities
procedures for
typically
hand-tossed
represented as
traditional
angels.
pizza.
Mythological
It has
figures,
several unique
supernatural
ingredients, so
creatures,
there are some special ways that we make
Lucifer,
it great.
Venus,
Now, the dough
sun,
master will
the
have
moon,
pre-portioned
death,
and panned the dough.
resurrection, beauty,
So when you
the
remove it
grotesque,
from the refrigerator,
mysticism,
just check it for
eschatology,
quality and
magic,
make sure the dough
Kabbalistic
extends
themes,
all the way
and
to the bottom
ritualism.
of the rim.
In all their
For
works,
saucing,
there
you'll
is a
spread on some of
palpable
our
interest in the
special
subjective,
hand-tossed traditional
the
pizza
irrational,
sauce
and the
to
instinctive.
between the
The
first and second
characteristics of the
perforation
symbol
marks
were
from
not
the
aimed
outer
at
edge.
representing a
Be
specific
sure that you
object,
don't go
but
beyond
at its
that outer
allegorical
perforation
use,
mark.
always guiding the viewer
Then you'll
toward
distribute the
supernatural,
bottom cheese out
or,
to that
more
same line.
precisely,
Then the toppings go
supernatural,
on, to
an
again that you
extraordinary
don't go beyond that
reality
outer
reached through the
perforation
symbol.
line.
The
And make sure
symbolists
that the
challenged
cheese and toppings
conventional modes of
completely cover the
representation
sauce.
in an
As
effort to
always,
access the
avoid
divine
center loading.
directly.
Then
Their
you'll
ideas
clean
were
up the
expressed
outside
in
edges
forms that displayed
and
a
shake
deep
on the proper amount of
familiarity
fairy
with
dust,
esoteric
just like we
and
do with
occult
pan
theories.
pizza and thin and crispy pizza.
Magnus Enkel, a
Don't
Finnish
worry,
symbolist,
all of these
when
instructions
asked to
are included
describe
on the
himself
station
as an
guide.
artist,
And the
presented
job aid
himself as a neophyte
near the make
in the
table
process of
will give you the
initiation,
proper ingredient
entering
amounts.
the ruins of an
That's all there
ancient
is to it.
pagan temple, moving from one
That
chamber
pizza
to
will give him a
another,
reason to come
deeper
back.
and deeper
There's
into
one
the
more
unknown.
product you need to know about,
According to him,
Priazzo.
with each step,
That's a
he left
rich
behind
double-crust
earthly
Italian
pleasures,
pie, and
hopes,
customers can choose from a
aspirations,
variety of
but
delicious
continued with the
fillings.
firm
That sounds
belief that he
delicious.
would be
Do we make it the
rewarded
same way
upon
as we
reaching
make
the
pizza?
final chamber,
Sort of.
the inner
When we make
sanctuary,
Priazzo,
where
we use
everything will
2
be
layers of
revealed to
dough.
our eyes and
First, we
restored to
fill
our
the
hearts.
bottom dough with hand-tossed
Concepts
traditional
and
sauce
affiliations
and
of
or
symbolism
filling according to
were
the order.
perfectly clear. Interestingly,
Then
symbolist
we add
works
the
did
triple
not
cheese
necessarily
blend,
have a
according
single
to the spec chart.
interpretation. They aimed for each
Then
piece
we
to
roll,
evoke different
perforate, and layer
responses
on the
from
top
each viewer.
dough.
Moreover, symbolists inherited and skillfully employed the esoteric theories of color that emerged during Romanticism.
And we top that dough with
Along
the proper
with
sauce
numerology
using a
and other
personal
symbolic
pan pizza
languages,
spoon.
They added
We
another
add
layer
more
of
cheese
encryption
blend
to their expressions, moving
and top
beyond
that with
mere
fairy dust.
interpretation
Do we cook
of
it the same
action.
way as we cook pizza?
In other words,
Well, we use one of
they
these
used
heat
the
pins to make sure all the
allegorical
ingredients are
meaning of each
completely
colour and
cooked.
number,
The heat pin
applying
helps
it
make sure
according
the
to
heat
its
is evenly
significance in
distributed,
the
but
actions they
otherwise the
depicted.
cooking procedure is the same.
While
That's
many
some
artists
pie.
were part of this movement, perhaps the most notable include Jean Delville, Pierre Puvis de Chavannes, Odilon Redon, Gustave Moreau, Edward Robert Hughes, Franz von Stuck, Herbert James Draper,
Hi.
and Gustav
So
Klimt.
you want to learn how to
However,
work the
I
steam
must
table.
admit,
I'm
these are
Angela.
probably
And
just
I'm
my
Matt.
personal
And
favorites.
today we're going to
There
show
are
you
over
the
100
many
visual
ways Skyline
artists
Chili.
associated with
Skyline's
the
a great place
symbolist
to work,
movement.
right, Angela?
Yeah, once you know your
In the
way
aftermath
around.
of 2
Hey, Angela,
catastrophic
did
world
you know that
wars,
Skyline
mysticism
sells over 8
began to
million
lose
ways
its
a year?
luster.
Wow.
The static
It
liturgies
sounds like
of the
we oughta
fin de
get started
siècle
showing
sounded
you
distant,
the Skyline
and a new
way.
ritual of supposed objectivity took hold. This does not mean that the supernatural was erased from the history of modernism's origins.
Here's Mary.
Rather,
She's
it
just
was
starting her
absorbed
shift.
and normalized.
Where do you think
Many
she's headed?
artists continue
I
to
know
use
something about
arcane
Mary.
symbols without
She's heading
even
to the
knowing
first
their
place we all
meanings,
go after
valuing
Thanksgiving,
them for
the
their
hand
artistic appeal
Before
rather
beginning
than
any
their
food
occult
preparation,
utility.
employees must always wash
In the
and sanitize
narrative,
their
many
hands.
of us learned
At
in school
Skyline,
the
we're really
upheavals of
committed
the
to serving
modernist
customers
era
safe
were
food.
presented as individual
Bacteria and germs
developments
on your
and
hands can
autonomous
cause people to get
events
sick.
within each
So wash and
discipline.
sanitize.
Before symbolism
do it.
faded from cultural
Look,
memory,
it's almost
it received a
Skyline
few
time.
nods from emerging
Let's see what
giants
Mary's
of
doing to make
modernism.
sure the rush goes
In
smoothly.
1906,
First
Ezra
things
Pound
first.
embraced Peladon's
She's bringing out
idea
a
that the
bucket of fresh
medieval
sanitizer
troubadour
water and
tradition
clean
was a
towels.
repository
Since we
of
make the food
hermetic
right before the
wisdom.
customer's eyes,
In
we need to
1910,
keep the area
Vasily
clean and
Kandinsky
sanitized.
cited Peladon
Next,
in his
she
manifesto
stocks clean dishes
concerning
on
the
both sides of
spiritual
the
in
table
art,
and
where he
makes sure
wrote the
carryout
following:
containers are
"The
within
artist
arm's
is a
reach."
king, as
Then,
Peladon
Mary
says,
double-checks
not
that
only
all the
because
food
he
is ready
possesses
and in
great
its proper
power,
place on
but
the
also
table.
because his
Onions,
responsibility is immense."
cheese,
This
chili,
phrase, oddly
spaghetti,
prophetic and frequently
and
heard in
beans
modern
should be
times,
stocked
from
and ready for
Spider-Man
making waves.
comics to global
Be certain
advertising
that you have the
campaigns,
proper
is
utensils with each
evidence of the
product.
persistent
An 8-ounce chili
reverberations that
ladle,
occultism
spaghetti
has
fork,
had in
a
modern
bean spoon,
culture.
a 6-ounce ladle, and iced teaspoons in the onions. During slow periods, cover the cheese,
Thank you so
chili
much for
cracks,
making it to the end
and
of the
spaghetti
video.
cracks with
I
lids
sincerely hope
to
you enjoyed
maintain
this
quality
journey and learned a bit
temperature.
more about
We don't cover
symbolism,
the beans,
which,
because
I
that
must
would make them
confess,
mushy.
is my
Hey,
favorite
it
artistic
looks like we're
period.
about ready.
But
Throughout
don't
the
forget
video,
about
I
stocking
wanted to
backup
share some of my
products so that we
favorite
don't have to leave
paintings
the
from this
steam table
movement.
area
Works
during
that
the
not only
rush.
inspire me,
that would
but
lead to
also
some major
reflect the
stress.
deep mystery
Stock
and
backup cans of
spirituality
cheese
that
and onions
define
in
this
the nearest
remarkable
region.
art form.
And
Now,
let's not
I
forget
would
about
love to
backup
hear your
cans of
thoughts.
spaghetti.
Which
Make sure they're
symbolist,
3/4
artist,
full
or
and covered
artwork would you
before
like us
placing
to
them in the
analyze
region
in a
closest
future
to the
video
steamer.
on this channel?
And check that
Leave
there
your
is backup
suggestions
spaghetti
in the
in
comments,
steamer
as
when
it's
you're
always
stuck in a
pleasure
rush.
to discover new
Just a few more
perspectives
things.
and share this passion
Since
for art
cheese tends
with
to
all
clump
of you.
during storage,
I'd also
flop
like
it
to
when you bring
remind
it to
you
the
that
steam
if you'd
table.
like to support
And
the
speaking of
channel,
cheese,
you can do
now that
so
you're
by
stocking